host, SaintLeader13. Today, XRL is going to be taking place at France. Some updates have occurred within XRL. We're under another mini-series of about 3 or 4 races. For all intents and purposes, a full paint season is no longer on the cards due to the excessive amounts of glitches that take place in this game. So these races, for all intents and purposes, are just for fun rather than anything else. Today is going to be France's circuit, known for lots of runoff and not having a lot of personality. But we've had some very interesting races here in the past. As we prepare to get onto the circuit to begin qualifying session 1. Staying by until we get onto the circuit itself. Nineteen drivers should be taking the track in qualifying session 1, meaning that 4 of them will inevitably get bumped off and not get a chance to get into Q2. So, a wet weather circuit means that qualifying is going to be a little bit slower than normal. No DRS will be enabled for the session. And then in addition to that, we also are going to be looking at wet weather tires, just so drivers can keep some grip, or more likely it's probably going to be intermediates actually, as we go ahead and see. Yep, it looks like everyone's going to be running on intermediates. Just waiting for the first drivers to get out onto the circuit, but it looks like already it's going to be one of the Alfa Romeos, I believe it should be, XRL Whippy, I think, if the game would go ahead. No, it's Carlos Jackson, actually. The first of the Alfa Romeos, the first driver in general to take to the circuit here in the session. He's going to be joined very shortly by XRL Ollies. You see him burning onto the circuit now. Oh, and Carlos Jackson, a spin. He didn't even make it a full 3 quarters, and already the thing went around. Of course, with there being just excessive amounts of runoff here, he should be able to continue without issue. But now it's going to go to Ollie to be the potential first driver to set a time here. Farther back, though, you can see that is Collyboy in the McLaren, who is now beginning to merge onto the circuit, and he is being joined by XRL Raptor in the Red Bull. Focus back to Carlos Jackson, coming onto the first of the 2 back straightaways here. Just swishing back and forth, trying to get a little bit of heat into the tires. Very hard to get a proper tire temperature on intermediate or full wet tires. Now, when you're up at proper racing temperature and the track is properly wet, you can do it, but if the tires get too hot or there's not enough water on the track to keep the tires cool, well, they'll start ripping and chunking themselves to pieces. The left rear on that actually looks like it's a little bit deflated. I wonder if they've taken out extra amount of air in his tire in order for him to be able to get laps going. And he goes around again. So it's not looking very good for Carlos Jackson whatsoever. 2 spins in the outlap. XRL Ollie is getting ready to set his first flyer. Carlos Jackson pulls over to the side to let the McLaren and Red Bull sneak by. Then farther back, there's the Haas of XRL Ultimate. Just closing in. Curious to see if Jackson will stay out. And it seems like he will. In fact, he seems really confident. We're going to go ahead and ride on board with Carlos Jackson silently for a full lap here at France. See what it's like here at the circuit. And Carlos Jackson sets his lap time of 1:44.529, had two very significant twitches on his flyer lap, and that has kept him more than 2 full seconds off the time that Raptor, our third fastest driver, has set thus far. Everyone is on the same tire compound for right now due to a rule change within XRL, making it to where if the track is dry, you are now mandated to run dry tires. If the track is wet, you are mandated to run wet tires. We've seen before drivers will go ahead and willingly throw away a set of wets in a dry qualifying session just to try and find a bit of an advantage when it comes to tire strategy later on. Jackson's teammate Whippy has also set a lap time of 1:43.679, and Sasha Andre is now beginning a flying lap. Roughly 2/3 of the drivers here have gotten out onto the circuit. This is Jay Basquian, one of the two Ferraris. He's set at 25.9 at the end of Sector 1 as he gets onto the first of the two back straightaways. This is Level 6 BC in the Mercedes. Ollie goes faster again, 1:41.459. And one other advantage, though, is that in the scenario like this, where everyone has to take longer to complete a lap, you do have an option to just fill the car up even farther than normal and just turn multiple circuits instead of trying to come in and turn multiple one-lap sprints. Low now goes to the top with a 1:41.250. So now the question is, if it stays wet, will we be able to see drivers break the 1:41 barrier? Oh, and Raptor's out! I'm guessing Raptor has retired in the pits, though. I don't see anything that, on the map, at least I would say that he's out of the race on track. So I guess Raptor electing to retire in pit lane. His Level 6 BCN is coming down. Oh, and there goes one of the Alphas again. Is it Carlos Jackson? No, it's not. It's Whippy. Whippy has had a spin, and he was up by 3/10 at the end of Sector 2. He's going to lose all of that now and more, and he'll have to jump it into the pits to get another attempt right now. BC has set time of 1:46.024, so no speed whatsoever from the Mercedes, it would appear. Sasha Andre in the Williams is coming in the line. He will set a lap time of 1:42.486. That's the 7th fastest we've seen thus far. This is Wise Uter, his Williams teammate, who is coming down to the last 2 corners now. 10 of our 19 drivers have set lap times. XRL Raptor set a time very early and then basically elected to come into the pits. He feels very confident with his time. He's going to not feel very confident, though, in his race if he ends up getting kicked out of Q2. Uter goes to a 141.809. Ozda in the Ferrari is in the middle of the lap right now. His teammate James John is set at 142.484. I'll be interested to see what Ozda can do. Fiend is in the middle of a lap right now, a little bit farther back on the racetrack than Ozda is. And also of note, Ryan Hurricane has invalidated his first and now his second attempt at a lap here. He's going to have to try and come around again. As he tries to focus ultimate, 141.194. So he's break the 41.2 barrier, but no one's broken the 41 barrier itself yet. As Fiend, purple sector 2, this could be a respectable lap by him. Young Maneuver has just had a spin, and despite all the runoff, he came very close to hitting one of the outside walls here, as he's trying to let the Haas of XRL Ultimate sneak by. TIR Flavor has invalidated his lap, and Fiend has invalidated his lap as well. The good news for Fiend is that it happened early enough that he will get another shot at this, assuming he has fuel. What? Fiend just teleported into the pit lane. Okay, that's a cool game. Yep. Torpedo is on a run through Sector 1 right now on a flying lap. So one Alpine's in the pit, the other coming out to track, and now Collie Boy in pit lane is electing to put on soft tire compounds. He already has the fourth fastest time with a 141.754. Going to softs honestly seems like it could be an overcall. I think if you're in the top 5 in the timesheets, you should be okay to make it. As Torpedo goes to the chicane between the two back straightaways. 56.315. TIR Flavor, meanwhile, farther back, has just begun his next attempt at a flying lap. 11 drivers have set lap times. Level 6 BC will be crossing the line shortly, trying to improve on his time. And after that, it will be Torpedo, who will try and be the 12th driver to set a lap time here in Q1. A little bit drifty in that Alpine through the exit of some of the slower corners. At the line, Torpedo goes 9th fastest, 142.334. Zola is going to cross the line to begin his flyer lap. Ozda goes ahead, goes up to 5th, 141.468. Incredible time by him. TIR Flavor is now coming around. He's going to get his lap in. He aborts and elects to come into the pits instead. Owen very nearly gets run into from behind by Williams. So now it's going to be Ryan Hurricane, who will be the next driver to set a lap time here out of the final corner, laying on the ERS, laying on the, well, can't lay on the DRS, but laying on the ERS at the line will be a time of 141.584. That is the 6th best time we've seen thus far in the session. Oh, and Ozda, we see it time and time again with him. He goes out there, sets a tremendously exciting lap, and then has a spin or an accident right afterwards. The pattern continues, but Ozda has set the time, and the car is still in one piece, so as long as he brings it back into the pits, this time will set day. Zola is in the middle of a lap right now, 56.833 at the end of Sector 2. The other driver to watch is Young Maneuver. As he's coming across the line, he will set a time of 1:42.577. So 15 of our 19 drivers have set times. Careless Jackson right now has a 143.744. He is the driver on the bubble, and Zola is going to try and get across the line and kick him out. At the line, Zola, 10th fastest, 142.072. And for XRL Raptor, I have to imagine that he's feeling very bad about his decision to retire early in the session. Only the top 15 drivers advance into the next round, and as it stands right now, Raptor is only 11th quickest, and he's not going to have a chance to improve. XRL Fiend is on another outlap right now. Smoothie 25 and TIR Flavor are both in pit lane. Interesting enough, TIR Flavor has now elected to equip soft tire compounds in the pit lane. And while I was focusing on the bottom, XRL Ollie has broken the 141 barrier. He has set a time of 140.842. Fiend goes ahead and moves out of the way to let his teammate Torpedo by. Now, if these two Alpines stay close enough together, then Fiend might get a good draft off of Torpedo going down the front straightaway. In fact, I wonder if that's what they're trying to set up right now. They're gonna have to figure something out because just behind them a little bit is XRL Whippy. He's currently only 14th quickest at 142.428. Trying to find a way to improve here. Whippy goes ahead and scoots by one of the Alpines. Torpedo has brought it into the pits. Car seems to be drifting just a little bit on corner exit, but has he improved enough? I believe he has. He will go ahead and set a lap time of 142.374, so he does improve, but not nearly by as much as he wanted to. Fiend is now in the middle of a flyer lap. Time is ticking down for Smoothie 25 and TIR Flavor. You're going to need to get onto the track quickly in order to set a lap time here. Young Maneuver goes up to 13th, 142.044, so Raptor is precariously close to the bubble, and Fiend might be all it takes to... Real quickly, we're going to try and get Raptor in here, and hear if he has anything to say about his decision, strange decision to go ahead and retire early in the session. Purple Sector 2 for Fiend. There's a Mercedes, that's Beastie, and that's almost totally pulled to the side there. Alright, now coming into the party right now is XRL Raptor. Raptor, I'm a little bit confused. Maybe you can enlighten me. You set a time early on in the session and then retired. Was that the plan to begin with, or what?
Yes, that is the plan, because the idea is with the possibility of rain coming in the race, I don't want to overstress the wet tires I have at present, because I want to have the opportunity to give those as much life as possible going into the race if it turns out that they are needed. So that was a intentional move on my part.
Alright, well, do you think that's going to outweigh the potential risk of not making it into Q2? Because as it is right now, your time of 142.203 is on the bubble, and both Smoothie and TIR Flavor haven't set lap times, and the two Alfa Romeos are still trying to get into the next session as well.
If I don't make it through to Q2, I'm not overly concerned at this point, as I've run a number of GPs over the course of this week, and I have a setup and a strategy developed that I feel will work for me very well in the race. So that being said, it's going to be what it's going to be at this point. I'm just going to let my strategy in the race do the talking for me.
Alright, well, the last question then is that if this race starts out wet but goes to a dry ending, will that strategy still hold up? And will your car setup still hold up and be competitive in that scenario?
Absolutely. It absolutely will.
Alright, well, we'll be looking forward to seeing you potentially climb up the field if you don't make it into the next round of qualifying.
All right, sounds good. I will hopefully see you in Q2, and if not, I'll let my performance in the race speak for me.
Alright, thank you for being willing to answer our questions. As we turn our focus to XRL Whippy, as the time's up in the session, will he be able to knock XRL Raptor out of Q2 through the final corner now? Ultimate to the top, 140.808. So Ultimate in the Haas, showing some incredible pace. But at the line, the focus is going to be on Whippy. Whippy is not able to knock Raptor out of Q2. Careless Jackson is still in the middle of a lap, as is Smoothie and TIR Flavor. So there are still 3 drivers that could knock Raptor out of Q2. Jackson aborts his lap. So now the focus goes to Smoothie and TIR Flavor. Both of them in Sector 2. Smoothie at the exit of Sector 2. He has a 58.759. I personally think this this Aston Martin has the highest likelihood of bumping the Red Bull out of Q2. Here comes a McLaren. It's a very fast McLaren behind of XRL Low. Both of these drivers in the middle of the lap. Ooh, that twitch! There was a big twitch by the Aston Martin. He's gonna let the McLaren by. They're neck and neck. They shouldn't be racing like this, but you can't do anything like it. Smoothie is just trying to get a lap time down. Low is just trying to get a lap time down, but they're compromising each other's lines, making each other way slower than they need to be. They're both skidding the rear tires coming out of the final corner. At the line, Smoothie will go ahead, set a lap time of 145.711. Spend too much time sharing the track with the McLaren. What about TIR Flavor? Will he? No, he will not knock Raptor out. Raptor will end up making it into the final round, but it was an extremely, extremely nutty run there. Wow, that was crazy. As we look at the final results, Ultimate with the fastest lap time, but for me, the one that's really noteworthy is the man here, Smoothie, 25 in the Aston, 145.711, spent way too much time running on the track with the McLaren. We're going to try and get him in here, hear what he has to say. TIR Flavor does not advance either, and neither do the Alfa Romeos. Raptor in the Red Bull is in, as is Beast in the Merc, Fiend in the Alpine, Collie Boy in the McLaren, Young Maneuver in the AlphaTauri, Zola in the Aston Martin, James John and Ozda in the Ferrari, Wise Uter and Sasha Andre in the Williams, Ryan Hurricane in the Haas, Torpedo in the Alpine, Low in the McLaren, Ollie in the AlphaTauri, and Ultimate in the other Haas. I honestly believe that the Aston Martin would have had enough pace to make it into Q2. He looked like he had it going relatively good for him at the end of Sector 2, but the McLaren was significantly faster, and they both caught each other, and under normal circumstances, one of the two would go ahead and back out to let the other go for a flyer lap, but that was it. There was no chance for another flyer lap. Now, realistically, it should have been the McLaren that should have been willing to back out and not run the risk of compromising his run or the Aston Martin's run, but the McLaren was also, for whatever reason, felt like the third fastest time was not enough for him, and he wanted to keep at it. As now we begin our focus on the Q2. Now, the interesting thing about Q2 is that right now it's all focused on intermediate tires, but if drivers like Ozza, who is going out on mediums, if this is the right choice, and you can set a lap on dry tires, that will immediately shake everything up. Ozda will be the 5th driver to get out onto the circuit here. I just want to watch Ozda for a bit. I'm going to be very interested to see if he can even keep that car on the racetrack under these slightly damp conditions. I am seeing a dry-ish line on the circuit. And he already slides off the circuit, nails a signpost, and then spins. But again, I wouldn't be too concerned if I was Ozda. I think he has a very good chance. Anyways, coming into the party right now is Smoothie25. Smoothie, go ahead, include your audio. If you can hear me, I just want to ask there, you had what looked like a good lap going down, but you ended up being held up by the McLaren at the end of Q3. What happened out there? Was it just a lack of communication or what? Alright, I don't think he can hear me as he's already left the party, so that might not have worked out. as we turn our focus back to the Ferrari. Now, farther behind on the track, Oz's teammate Jabez John is coming onto the circuit. And again, I'm really interested to see how this goes, because I do see a dry-ish, it's not super dry, but a dry-ish line here on the circuit. But as we ride on board with Ozzy, you can hear how much he's struggling to put the power down. Does he have grip to this high-speed corner at the end of that second back straightaway? He's being very ginger, but also he needs to get heat into the tires. He slides off circuit there. He's really trying to get both heat in the tires, but also keep the car on the racetrack. This part of the circuit here, walls are a little bit closer than they are about the majority of Sector 1 and Sector 2. So a bad spin here could create absolute chaos, and there he goes, and he's around way off circuit. But he's trying to get back on. His teammate James Dunn will go ahead and scoop by him. So that's two different spins from Ozda. And he is going to abort the attempt on the medium. So you see it right here. The track, for the moment at least, is still too damp to set times on dry tires. But I think Ozda has the right idea, because there's no active rain falling on the racetrack. I think Ozda is in a great position and has the right mindset. He could go ahead, be one of the first drivers to jump onto medium or soft tire compound tires late in the session and completely upend the entire ordering. But as of now, intermediates seem to be the way to go, as we're looking at XRL Raptor, the driver who barely made it into Q3. Barely made it out of Q3 into Q2. Now in the middle, trying to set a flyer lap here. Out of the final corner. Raptor said that he wanted to be very, very careful and conserve his intermediate tires and wet weather tires as much as he could. He sets a time of 141.662. That's not even close to the fastest times we've seen in Session 1 alone. Sasha Andre in the Williams will go ahead to the top, 141.498. You see a McLaren and an Alpine beginning to move onto the circuit. Ollie to the top, 140.933. So once again, the 41 barrier gets busted very quickly. Collie Boy, 141.521. Already 7 drivers have set lap times here. And we're going to see XRL Ultimate try and be the 8th. Ultimate to the top, 140.865. Mazda coming back out onto the circuit. He has re-equipped intermediate tires. So Mazda's going to go for a run for it now, but again, it does look like the circuit, or at least the racing line, is beginning to dry off visually, but it's not to the point yet where you could go ahead and easily run on a full slick tire. Game is gone. Oz's teammate is also on circuit, trying to make a lap after his first one got invalidated. Level 6 Beastian is in the middle of a flying lap attempt. Fiend and Low are both out on track on out laps, and Ryan Hurricane and the other Haas is in the middle of a lap, now coming onto the first of the 2-part back straightaway. Hard on the ERS going down. It's already, even under these damp conditions, already at about 191 miles an hour before hitting the braking zone and going through the chicane. Begins to lay on the power once more. 56.294 at the end of Sector 2. Collie Boy moves up the order just a bit, 141.253. But again, for right now, the track is still being designated as a wet surface, so tire choice is not going to matter. But if it dries off enough between now and the end of the sector, drivers are able to take advantage of it, then that will choose the tire compound they can start the race on if the race itself starts on a dry surface as well. Ryan Hurricane, one last corner. He will be the 10th driver to set a lap time in the session. At the line, 8th fastest, 141.441. Right now, Zola and Beastin are the only two drivers who have not yet busted the 142 barrier. Ozda in the middle of his lap now as he goes by one of the McLarens. Who is that low? No, that's not low. That's Collie Boy, who has had a spin right before entering the back straightaway. He's going to go ahead and let Davis John by before getting onto the circuit again. But Collie Boy, who has the fourth fastest time already, I think he might as well consider coming into the pits, especially with how low the fuel is right now. But Ozda, 56.260 at the end of Sector 2. Low has invalidated the lap he's in the middle of. So Ozda will try and be the 12th driver to set a lap time here. Oh, Davis Don has had an incident going into the backstretch chicane, ollie to the top, 140.734. But our focus is primarily on Ozda. 2.5 corners to go. Last corner. The Ferrari looking a lot smoother. The fuel light is flashing though, so this is going to be his only attempt at a lap here on this set of tire and this tank of gas. To the top, 140.661 by the Ferrari. XRL Ozda ran that fuel tank almost bone dry to set that lap, and it worked 0.02 of a second faster than what Ultimate did, and in the wet weather conditions at that. Absolutely incredible job by Ozda. Low, in the middle of the lap right now. He will try and be the 13th driver to set a lap time in the session, as Fiend and Young Maneuver are both in out laps right now. McLaren goes into the backstretch chicane once more. He invalidated his first attempt at it. This is his second go. He's not used the ERS nearly as much as the other drivers have on their lap. 56.2 at the end of Sector 2 though, so he seems to be on pace for a respectable run here. Now he goes into the more technical sections of Sector 3. Corners to go. This corner is very gradual. You can pretty much lay on the gas throughout the entirety of it unless you're in a pouring rain. Now through the second to last corner. Down to fourth gear. Down to third. Down to second. 47 miles an hour at the apex. And then he lays on. You get to see the real place out F1 car perfects its ability at acceleration. Low gets onto the circuit with a time of 141.105 miles an hour. Now the focus goes to both Fiend and Young Maneuver. Maneuver, one of the most exciting drivers to watch within XRL. We're going to go sign and ride a lap on board with him in the AlphaTauri. And he invalidates it in Sector 3. Now, as long as he has enough fuel, he could go ahead and go for another run at it. He didn't lay too hard into the ERS either, so he'll have enough ERS to go for another flyer. The question is going to be, does he have enough fuel to go for another go? He seems to believe he does. Behind him is Fiend. Fiend is still clean as he comes out of the final corner right now, straightens up for the approach to the start-finish line. XRL Fiend. His teammate Torpedo has set a time of 141.087. Fiend does not say anything close to that kind of time frame. 141.668. As Ryan Hurricane now jumps up to 4th with a 140.934. James Jan is on the bubble right now, and he's going back out into the circuit, as is Sasha Andre, who is on the outside looking in. Zola did improve on his most recent time. He is within the 141 range now with a 141.535, but he needs to be a time of at least 141.4 in order to have a shot of making it into Q3. Ollie retires in the pits. He feels comfortable with his time, and I don't blame him. Young maneuver through the backstretch chicane once more. This lap will be just a little bit faster than the one he was saying up for prior. The car's going to be just a little bit lighter with a little bit less fuel. He's laying on the ERS, going down the straight. Purple Sector 2 again. But it was Sector 3 where he invalidated it last time. For Wise Uter, James John and Sasha is now beginning his lap now. But for Wise Uter and James John, the question is going to be, will they be able to make the line with enough time to set multiple laps? Will it be a single attempt in Q2? Everyone seems to be committed to staying on intermediate tires. I honestly, if I was Sasha Andre and anyone farther down the order, I would have gone ahead and thrown on a set of mediums and seen if I could have made anything work. Young maneuver finally sets a lap time. 7th quickest, 141.225. Raptor is on the bubble once more, as Uter is on an out lap. James John is in the middle of the lap right now, but he's only up by 0.05 of a second at the moment. Sasha Andre in the middle of the lap as well. BCN is in the pits, and Fiend is out of spin. Fiend is out of spin coming out of the last corner. And with the way that it's invalid and how slow it will make him, Fiend, I see no way that he's going to be able to make it into the next session. In fact, it's still invalid, so Fiend will not be able to advance. Neither will BCN. Sasha Andre, James John, and Wise Uter are the drivers who are gunning to try and kick Raptor out of the top 10. Zola retires in pit lane. He was able to improve to a 141.273. Here comes Uter. The clock is ticking, but with a little bit more than 25 seconds left, I believe it's reasonable to say that Uter will put his hat in the ring in the fight against Raptor and Zola to make it into Q2. At the line, Uter begins his lap. James John has aborted his attempt. What about Sasha Andre? Sasha has gone up to 11th right now with a 141.373. He needs to improve by roughly 65 thousandths if he wants to knock Raptor out. For Wise Uter, he needs to improve by roughly 101 thousandths in order to knock Raptor out. Uter is down by 14 thousandths at the end of Sector 1. Sasha Andre, well, we didn't get a chance to see how far down he may or may not be. XRL Fiend is technically in the middle of a lap, but with the spin beginning it's an invalid lap. It is Sasha and Wise Uter going against Zola and Raptor right now. Wise Uter at the end of Sector 2. He is up by 85 hundredths. He could gut Raptor here. Sasha Andre is up by nearly 2/10. Both of them could knock Zola and Raptor out of Q3. Right now the focus is on Wise Uter. There is an Alpine ahead of him, but Fiend will be retiring into the pits, and the track will be cleaned. But it's at the driest point it's looked like it's been all day long. Through the final corner, Uter straightens the car up. Does he have the time to knock Raptor out of the top 10? No, he does not. He's not able to make it. Will Sasha, though? Yes, Sasha with a massive time, 141.044, and Raptor is out of Q3. Incredible run there on a quickly drying track at that. As we look at the rundown, Azda in the Ferrari with a 140.661, an absolutely incredible lap. Ultimate and Hurricane in the Haas's second and third fastest, Ollie 4th with the AlphaTauri, Collie Boy 5th with the McLaren, Sasha Andre 6th with the Williams, Yum Maneuver 7th with the AlphaTauri, XRL Torpedo 8th with the Alpine, 9th is Lowe with the McLaren, and 10th is Zola with the Aston Martin. And the drivers who do not advance to the next round are XRL Raptor in the Red Bull, Wise Uter in the Williams, James John in the Ferrari, Beastian in the Mercedes, and Fiend in the Alpine. And the really interesting thing, from my opinion, is that from the fastest to the slowest time in the session, the spread was only 1.007 seconds, and from 1st to 10th, it was within 0.6 of a second. So for today, at least, without DRS under a wet circuit, everyone's times seem to be very, very competitive with each other right now, at least in single lap pace. The interesting thing is going to be, does the single lap pace transfer over into multi-lap pace and the run over a long run as your tires start falling off and the car gets lighter as the fuel burn out? As it goes right now, everyone's running almost no fuel, just trying to get 1 or 2 flyer laps in, and then they'll rely on ERS to kind of drag them back into the pits afterwards. So we prepare to get into qualifying session 3, and this is going to be the run for the pole. It's the bit that everyone really puts a lot of focus into. Also, with this in mind, if the track starts on a dry circuit, everyone gets the tire choice that they want. Doesn't matter if they're first or last. But if we start on a wet circuit, everyone's still going to start on intermediates. I believe they'll be starting the intermediates they ran in Q2. Alright, 10 drivers. Again, the circuit is damp, but I said it before, I said it again, I just can't help but wonder, if you're not very fast, if you're someone who barely made it in, like Zola, for instance, do you consider going ahead and throwing on a set of softs or a set of medium tires, hope that there's just enough grip that you can set a blazing lap time? One thing that will be hurting, though, trying to do that, is that in Q3, you only have 10 cars on the track. It's going to be a little bit harder to get the circuit dried out than it would be if we had a full contingency of 19, 20 cars on the circuit. Ozda, meanwhile, is the first driver to get out onto the circuit. And again, right on board, you can actually see the sun trying to peek through the clouds at various points on the circuit. And there's no rain falling, and I'm seeing a dry-ish line beginning to form here. That's the other thing. If this track is drying out, and you spend too many laps on wet weather tires or intermediate tires, you're just going to destroy these tires, and you'll have one less set that you can use in the race itself. Because they'll already have damage and wear on. They'll already be chunking apart. Sasha Andre in the Williams has had a spin coming onto the second of the 2 back straightaways. He's getting back underway now. Ozda, fastest driver at the end of qualifying session 2. We're going to go silent and right on board with him for a flying lap now as he turns on the ERS and begins a flyer lap once more at France. Andre and Ozza sets a time of 1:40.863, but that time is going to fall fast because DRS has been enabled. You saw the notification when it came up, and soft tire compounds are being equipped by Sasha Andre, who's still in the pits, and this man here, XRL Ultimate, is going to try and do what Ozza attempted to do at the start of Q2. He's going to do it here very early in Q3. This could really shake up the starting order for the race. He just has 3 more corners left to begin his flyer lap, but Sasha Andre is now merged onto the circuit. These two are the only two on soft tire compounds, and I'll be very interested to see if Ultimate and Andre are able to maintain grip. When Ozza tried in Q2, he did not have the ability to keep the car planted through some of these corners. Can Ultimate do it? Ollie to the top, 140.728. Ollie's been very consistent again, 140.7. Ultimate right off the circuit, through a sign barrier, but the lap is still clean. He could still make something of this. It's a purple sector 1 for Ultimate. Now onto the first of the 2 back straightaways. The fastest speed we've seen at the end of these thus far has been 191. He's blowing out of the water. He's going to be touching 200. Barely at 200. Under braking. Now through that backstretch chicane. You can see he's fighting it, but the speed is definitely there. The question is it enough speed? Sasha is now on his outlap, and Collie Boy has swapped to soft tire compounds, as has Young Maneuver, but Ultimate hasn't validated his lap, so now the focus goes to Sasha Andre. The fastest time thus far, 1:40.568, and that's by Ollie. It's a purple sector 1 for Sasha. Again, DRS is going to be a massive addition to this because he will not have to deal with as much aerodynamic drag going down the first of the 2 back straightaways and going down the front stretch. Now Torpedo is equipping soft tire compounds in pit lane. Zola is equipping soft tire compounds. Ozda is equipping soft tire compounds. Ryan Hurricane, Lowe, and Ollie are the only drivers still with intermediates on, although in Ollie's case, he's on a cooldown lap, so he kind of has an excuse. Collie Boy is now coming out onto the circuit on the softs. Oh, and Collie's wrecked out! Collie Boy out! There's not enough grip for it to be safe, and that's our first DNF of the entirety of qualifying today. Sasha coming to the line. What will it be? 135.779. So without a doubt, the soft tire compounds are 5 seconds faster than the intermediates. Everyone has softs on now. Everyone knows this. Ultimate is going to try and be the next driver to set a time on the soft tire compounds. He just has 2 more corners to go. He invalidated his first attempt, but you can see the racing line and the track itself looks very much dry. And he invalidates on corner exits. And that means that not only will that lap not count, but the following one won't either. So Ultimate, the first driver to jump onto the softs, not able to take advantage of that at all. Young Maneuver out onto the circuit. Who is that? That was Sasha Andre. He's pulled over to let other drivers go by as Sasha is on a cooldown right now. So it's going to be Young Maneuver who will be the second driver to set a lap time on the soft tire compound, unless Lower Ozza gets in line first. Actually, I think Ozza will. Yeah, Ozza's going to be the second driver to set a time on the soft tire compounds. Ozda fastest in the end of sector of qualifying session 2, What will he be like in qualifying session 3's end? The DRS is open. Flashes across the end of Sector 1. We're going to see a bunch of time taken off. Probably about 1.5 seconds, if not more. No, he's up by 2.2 seconds compared to the lap he set on the intermediates. Best lap thus far by Ozza, 140.863. He's up by 4.5 seconds at the end of Sector 2, though. The fuel light is flashing, so Ozza continuing to run that Ferrari as lean as it can when it comes to fuel. Well, actually, it's probably not lean, it's actually probably very rich. And he'd be willing to run the risk of not being able to make it to pit lane if he can get a massive lap here. Coming into the final corner. Hard on the ERS, hard on the throttle. At the line, Ozza will set a lap time of 1:32.654, an incredible time. Young maneuver at the line, 1:33.372. No one's able to catch Ozza yet. Ultimate in the middle of a lap, as is Ryan Hurricane, but Ryan's time is not valid. He isn't validated, so he's going to have to go around again, and it will be his last shot at it. So it will be Ultimate, who is the first driver to get onto the soft tire compounds, will try and be the fourth driver to set a lap with them. It's clean exiting the final corner. The fuel light is flashing. What can Ultimate do at the line? 1:32.818. Low to the top, 1:32.272. Ali beginning the lap now. Zola trying to wrap up one as well. Zola is trying to race the clock. There's less than 20 seconds left as he is still in Sector 3. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time's up. Over. Plow. And at the line, Zola will go ahead and set a lap time of 1:32.433. That's good enough for the second fastest of the day. Ollie is not looking good for him because he has invalidated the lap he's in the middle of, so his fastest time is going to be the one he set on the intermediates, 1:40.568. He might not even start as good as 7th. It might be a 9th for him because Torpedo and Ryan Hurricane's not going to be able to set a lap either. He's invalidated. So, Ollie is relegated to an 8th place position, maybe 7th if Torpedo invalidates. Boy retires in the pit lane. XRL Low is coming to the start-finish line. He is up by 6/10. So Low is going to try and get into the pole position against Young Maneuver. Can he? Yes, he does! 1:31.058. What about Sasha Andre? And what about Torpedo? Torpedo, second fastest, 1:31.277. So now it's just Sasha. He'll be the last driver to set a time in the session. He 1:31.030, and your pole sitter is Sasha Andre. An incredible run! Those last 2 minutes as the circuit dried off, soft tires became the tire choice. That was a very, very, very interesting qualifying session. Ryan Hurricane and Coley Boy do not set times at all In qualifying session 3, Ollie is the only driver to not get a time in on the sauce on intermediates. He has a 140.568, so he'll start 8th. Ultimate will start 7th in the Haas, Azda 6th in the Ferrari, Zola 5th in the Aston Martin, Young Maneuver 4th in the AlphaTauri, XRL Torpedo 3rd in the Alpine XRLO, 2nd in the McLaren, and Sasha Andre 1st in the Williams. That was interesting. And you can see, just looking at XRLO, the time difference from the lap on the intermediates compared to the lap on the softs. And they make the most time up, interestingly enough, in Sector 3. Mainly because Sector 3 is all about grip. Sectors 1 and 2, while they do have technical slower sections, you also have the DRS, which helped. But DRS was enabled very early in the session. The only driver who ended up setting lap times that wasn't able to take advantage of the DRS was Azda. Because just as Azda got into the main straightaway for his first flyer lap, DRS became available. So we're getting word that will be a dry race. So everyone's getting the tire choice that they want for the event itself. We're just going to stand by now. About 5 minutes until we get onto the race circuit itself for the main race. Alright, we should be getting underway in about a minute's time here. Just waiting for them to go ahead and get onto the circuit here. Alright, and now, 4 lights, 5 lights. As lights out, and away we go here in France. And on the run down the start-finish line straight, Sasha Andre is pulling ahead of XRL and the McLaren without too much of an issue. As they dive into turn 1, Zola jumps up into second around the outside of the McLaren. Farther back, Torpedo gets a little bit squirrely. He's losing touch with the top 3. They're neck and neck for 4th and 5th position behind as they dive into turns 4 and 5. Young Maneuver falls in line behind Ultimate. Ozza and James Gunn, the Ferraris have already found each other. Fiend is trying to look to the inside. Can't do anything, and it's going to leave him open to attack for Raptor, who's already up into the 10th position. Zola now by Sasha Andre down the main straightaway. Interestingly enough, everyone on either soft or medium tire compounds. Look at this mess as Raptor runs in the back of Fiend, and the 2 Ferraris are a rolling roadblock holding these 2 faster cars up. Farther back, Smoothie has just gone by Collie Boy. Collie is trying to stay ahead of level 6 Beastian right now. And behind them is Ollie, as Ollie, who had immense pace in qualifying, has plummeted down to the back of the grid. Raptor sneaks by Fiend for the 9th position as Ollie is going to get by Collie Boy and Beastian. So Ollie now back up into 15th. But at the front, look at this struggle here. Low and Torpedo right on the rear end of Sasha Andre. Here comes Low with a huge dive. He's looking on the outside, but he has to pull out of it under braking. The McLaren seems to be way faster than the Williams, though. Can he make it stick? Oh, a little bit aggressive, but he's got him. Now it's the Alpine's turn to go against the Williams. And as this is going on, it's backing the field up. Ryan Hurricane has had a spin all on his own back there. Torpedo trying to get by Sasha Andre as Ultimate and Young Maneuver are closing in behind. James Gunn in the Ferrari is working hard on his teammate XRL Ozza going down the back straightaway. The camera refuses to show us crap because it's absolute horse. It's complete horsey warmer. Oh! Wow! Ozza just turns right into his teammate James Gunn. That's going to let Fiend get by. Now Raptor is going to have a run on Ozza going down the straight. So now Ferrari incompetence strikes sadly between the 2 drivers as they get into it. And we can see drivers with soft tire compounds flying up the order. Raptor cruises by James Gunn as if he's not even there. Ozza is out! Ozza is out. Carlos Jackson may have been involved in whatever it was. What in the world happened to Ozza? He's so far off circuit. Well, that's a full virtual safety car. But I don't imagine we're going to see very many drivers pitting because we're so early on in the race. But Ozza, one of the fastest drivers we've seen all day, out early. I'm going to try and get Ozza into the party and see if he wants to share what happened because I couldn't even tell. It looked like the thing just went dead right into the wall. And then whatever happened to Smoothie may have been separate all on its own. We're under a virtual safety car now. And there we are. We're back on and DRS has been re-enabled. Torpedo has DRS on Ultimate going down the straightaway. Looks to the inside as they go into the chicane. Ultimate's going to stay ahead of Torpedo for now, though. Medium tire compounds make up 5 of the top 7 positions. Whippy falls down to 11th behind James Gunn and is going to have to deal with TIR Flavor. Flavor slowly working his way up the grid with the soft tire compound. Boy with an accident coming onto the back straightaway. If this keeps up, he will run the risk of going a lap down. We turn our focus now back to 4th and 5th. Ultimate ahead of Torpedo, but Torpedo is there in 5th. Ultimate has DRS on Sasha Andre going down the main straight. Ultimate sneaks by Sasha Andre, no issue. So Sasha, who put together a massive monster lap in qualifying, falling down the order. He's fallen to 4th now. He's lost roughly a place a lap. Sasha comes back to the inside against the Haas. I did not expect him to be able to make that crossover move stick. Torpedo has a great view of this all. Ultimate will have DRS on Sasha going down the straight. Ultimate, he's going to have to take the longer way around on the outside, but he does it cleanly passes Sasha. So as I was saying, Sasha has basically lost 1 position every lap thus far. Might lose another to Torpedo, depending on how quickly the Alpine catches. And if you think that's a mess, check out this gaggle of cars. Ollie, Flavor, Don, Whippy, all on top of each other. Ultimate, something's just happened to Ultimate. He has plummeted massively and fallen all the way down to 8th now. He's back on circuit, but that will help Sasha because now Sasha is brought back up into 3rd. It's Ollie trying to make something happen against Flavor here. James Young coming into the pits, electing to get off of his soft tire compounds relatively early. I thought he might have taken damage and I didn't see it. But Ollie has DRS against TIR Flavor now. Flavor looking to work his way up into the top 10, having a lot more pace today than we normally see from him in a race. Battle to watch as Ultimate has rebounded to 8th. Wise Uter in the Williams is 9th, just close enough to be able to utilize DRS. Ultimate is not within DRS range of XRL Raptor. Raptor has climbed up from 11th to 7th, and Torpedo has gotten by Sasha Andre for 3rd on a drag race down the first of the 2 back straightaways. Sasha's going to try and fight back. Alpine versus Williams. Sasha and the Williams on the inside. He's got his nose ahead. He'll take 3rd place back. This is perfect for Zola and Lois, letting the 2 of them run away without issue. Sasha Andre is basically acting like a cap and keeping most of the faster guys buried farther back in the grid. The thing is, though, Sasha has used up a lot more ERS than Torpedo has, and Torpedo will still have advantage of DRS. This is realistically a gradual losing battle for the Williams. Torpedo has DRS, he has ERS, and he'll get ahead going into the braking zone, but can't make it stick. The Williams is still there, and Young Maneuver is closing. Raptor is closing in on the fight as well. He has a lot of clean track ahead, but he's got soft tires. He'll be closing in on it in a jiffy. Collie Boy, another issue back there, another spin, and this time he has wing damage. Sasha now coming onto the back straightaway. Torpedo with the DRS-ERS combination. He's got the line. Zola has just gotten by Low, but they're not done yet. The leaders are fighting for top position going down the second of the 2 back straightaways. Drag race, neck and neck. The McLaren's ahead. Whoa, ahead of Zola for the moment. As Torpedo is gotten by Sasha Andrea, so farther back. But the leaders have pulled out a 6.6 second gap on third right now. And as Collie Boy is about to go a lap down, his teammate Lowe has inherited the race lead. This is nuts. Right on board Torpedo, you can see Sasha and Young Maneuver there. But Raptor is closing in fast, and not only is Raptor closing in fast, he's bringing everyone from Fiend all the way back to Uter with him. It's going to be a mad gaggle of cars that's going to be fighting with this Alpine very shortly here. The big advantage that the Alpine has, though, is that he has medium tire compounds. Raptor does not. Sasha is left fighting with Young Maneuver right now, as Sasha is not able to keep up with Torpedo, it would appear. Be able to make a move against Sasha at the end of the straight. It's not possible because Sasha is just close enough to Torpedo to utilize the DRS in a defensive manner. Ultimate working on Fiend for the 7th position as Raptor is pulling away from them right now. Field gradually starting to break apart here, but we're still seeing a lot of good battles. The way that the qualifying sessions worked out, a lot of faster drivers didn't end up as high up the grid as you'd think, so we're seeing a lot of fast guys trying to make their way up through the grid before their tires start giving out on them. Young Maneuver still there behind Sasha, but interesting enough, Sasha actually closed in on Torpedo throughout Sector 2. Smoothie has had an incident. So now it's an Aston Martin and a McLaren at the back of the grid, and an Aston Martin and a McLaren at the front of the grid. As Ollie slips by Wise Uter going down the main straight. Sasha is actually a little bit closer to Torpedo this lap than he was the prior lap. And that's just going to make it harder and harder for Young Maneuver to try and do anything to Sasha. In fact, Sasha is just close enough. Although he would need Torpedo to make a mistake, Sasha might be able to utilize a DRS-ERS combination to make a move on Torpedo if Torpedo made a mistake. Smoothie, time penalty for speed in the pit lane, and he will likely go a lap down when he eventually has to serve that. Fiend, Ultimate, neck and neck through the chicane. And it's going to be Ultimate who gets that position. So Ultimate, who was fighting for the top 5 earlier, but spun out, being bottled up behind Sasha, now moving his way back up the grid slowly. Whippy also of note, he is right here working on Wise Uter. TIR Flavor is a little bit farther back, ready to capitalize. Dean gets back by Ultimate a little bit farther up. Ultimate now struggling to get by Ollie. Wise Uter. Oh, look at Ultimate with the dive on Ollie. These two were extremely fast in single lap pace during qualifying, but they've just both plummeted downward through the grid, either self-inflicted wounds or just not being able to keep up in pace and turn single lap pace into pace over a stint. Now they're just in the back half of the top 10 right now. Ollie, very nearly getting contact with Ultimate. He's looking for room. He actually cut the track there trying to keep the cars from touching. Ultimate does not have DRS, but Ollie does. No, Ultimate does have DRS, but Ollie has DRS just as well. He's using the ERS. The ERS is going to be empty at the end of the straight, but Ollie has the position on Ultimate going through the chicane, but he can't make it stick. He's stuck on the outside, and the Haas stays in front of the AlphaTauri. Whippy still working on Wise Uter, and Ollie is coming back to the inside of Ultimate. And he'll get him by just forcing the Haas to run a wider outside line. But here's something else to take note of. Raptor has caught Young Maneuver, and Raptor, as I said, he was very confident in his tires, very confident in his car set, very confident in his strategy. He's gone up from 11th to 6th, and is trying to make it an 11th to 5th. He's on soft tires, which by this point would be falling off just a bit. Look at this drag race. Ultimate falls back in line behind Ollie. He's got DRS, he's got ERS, but he made the move a little too late, couldn't make it complete. And Raptor continues to put pressure on Young Maneuver. There's fights all over the track right now. Ultimate time penalty for track violations. That's exactly the kind of thing that will make Ollie a little bit happy, because that will help him in the long term. Raptor closes in within 3/10 of Young Maneuver, but he's not doing anything crazy. He's not going for any moves right now. He's just being very consistently fast and nursing the tires around the circuit here. On fresh, new, soft tire compounds has finally caught Karos Jackson, has overtaken him, and is now trying to work his way up through the grid. There are 2 main battles to watch. Oh, and Flavor has just gotten by Wise Uter. Something has happened to Wise Uter to cause him to come to a dead stop. So now, Mercedes are ranked 10th and 11th. But as I was saying, the 2 battles to watch is Young Maneuver and Raptor. And then Ollie and Ultimate. Nothing yet, but there is something going on here. Ollie is close enough to make a move. Couldn't make it stick that time. But Ollie has lost Ultimate and is now working on Fiend. Neck and neck, and it looks like the AlphaTauri is going to get the position. There's also this battle between the 2 Mercedes, as Flavor has just gotten back by Beastian, and Flavor has worked his way up to 10th. He actually has a reasonable amount of pace today at France. Normally, he does earn points relatively easily, but it's normally off the back of just avoiding penalties and staying way out of everyone else's hair. Flavor has actually made a lot of on-track overtakes, so I do want to say great job on his part. Karos Jackson has had a spin coming onto the second back straightaway, and he's all the way back there in 15th now. Turn our focus to this fight once more. Now the question is, how much longer can Raptor stay out on the soft tire compounds and not lose time? Right now, he does have the advantage of being nearly 3 seconds ahead of Ollie, and he can keep using DRS to stay ahead of Ollie for longer periods of time as Ultimate gets by Fiend now. But eventually, the tire gap is going to work more and more in favor of Ollie, Raptor might not even be able to keep up with Young Maneuver. But as it stands right now, Raptor, very confident in his move up through the field, seems to believe that he's got a good pace and strategy going on. And as long as he can keep in DRS range of Young Maneuver ahead, I have to agree, I think he's got a good plan going on here. The big thing, though, is that when Raptor does inevitably make his pit stop, he's going to be dealing with slower cars and will have to be burning up whatever set of tires he uses to get by them. Ultimate, Fiend going at it once more as Fiend is falling behind Ultimate. And that's the McLaren of Collie Boy now behind them. Collie Boy a lap down. He's keeping decent pace with the cars around him. Not amazing, but decent pace with the cars around him. But he's had 2 spins and had to come to the pits to repair damage. And that has trapped him a lap down at this point in the event. And I think he's going to stay a lap down probably until race end. These two are fighting once again, the 2 Mercedes teammates. Oh, Whippy! Whippy's able to get back onto the circuit. He'll fall to 14th. Davis Jan, who pitted and gone to a different set of soft tire compounds relatively early. It's looking decent for him. He's already recovered up to 13th position as closing in on Ryan Hurricane, who's 12th ahead. Ollie, Ultimate, Fiend. Well, Ollie is broken away from Ultimate, but Ultimate and Fiend are still in a very active battle between the 2 of them. Your leader, XRL Low, is coming into the pit lane now to make a stop, so Zola will inherit the race lead. So 12 laps seem to be as far as the McLaren is willing to stretch it on soft tire compounds. I'm going to be very interested to see where Low comes back onto the circuit at. Oh, the Collie Boy has enough pace to just walk right by Fiend going down the straightaway. He's not going to stick with it. He'll give the position back going into the corner. But the McLaren has pace until he goes off circuit. Collie Boy looked like he was going to head right into the inside wall there, but was able to keep it together. Flavor coming into the pits now, and he throws on medium tire compounds. Low, when he came back on the circuit, he came back in 9th position. So now the question is, how long does Zola stay out? Zola has a 6.4 second lead over the fight for second between Torpedo and Sasha Andre. Wait, is that Zola's teammate? Yes, it is! That's Zola's teammate! You saw him briefly there as Zola went by, but Smoothie has had a spin. He's getting back underway now, but now Smoothie is going to go a lap down. Zola is coming in the pit lane now. Smoothie comes to a dead stop to let drivers get by. This is perfect for Collie Boy because it means that he may have a chance to overtake Smoothie. Raptor has just gotten by Young Maneuver, or has tried to. Well, he did by coming in the pits. So Raptor's coming in as well at about the same point that Zola is. So where is Zola going to end up on track in relation to Low? Zola stayed out on the circuit 1 lap longer than Low did. Game. Thank you. Well, there's your answer. Low still well ahead of Zola. Raptor is going to be in a very nice position because level 6 Beastian is in pit lane, and Ryan Hurricane is not close enough. So Raptor now has nobody directly behind him. Ryan Hurricane's close, but not close enough to make anything happen, and nothing but clean track ahead. This worked out wonderfully for Raptor. Soft tire compound to soft tire compound. He's going to go really fast for these next several laps here, and even better, everyone's 1st through 6th still will have to pit to take off these mediums at some point in the race. Fiend working on Ultimate once more. Sasha Andre has just gone by Torpedo for a lead. So Sasha Andre, who started on the pole but lost several positions at the race start, has now re-inherited the race lead. Granted, 2 drivers who passed him, he got back by via pit lane. They pitted, he has not yet pitted yet. But Sasha is now back up front. Sasha is making a strong case to keep himself in the top 4 by races in. Torpedo is going to try and fight back going down the main straightaway. He has DRS. Looks to the inside of turn 1 and will overtake. But can he complete it? It does not look like it. Sasha, fast enough to hold on. And Sasha has been absolutely outstanding at defense throughout Sector 1. It's Sector 2 that he loses time, and sometimes go at the very start of Sector 3. But through Sector 1, Sasha is one of the strongest amongst everyone who's been in the top 5. Torpedo with DRS going down the straight. He closes right underneath the rear wing, but it's not enough to really put him in a position that he can do anything. One thing that these guys are not going to want to hear, though, is that while they're fighting, it's bringing Young Maneuver up to them. Thing is, Young Maneuver is also going to have to deal with his teammate XRL Ollie sooner rather than later as well. Torpedo has DRS once more going down the main straightaway. Thing is, now Young Maneuver and Ollie also will have DRS on them, so the top 4 all closing in on each other. The Alpine to the inside. Sasha did not even attempt to defend. I think Sasha's willing to run behind for just a little bit. Thing is, that puts Sasha in the clutches of Young Maneuver and Ollie. Ooh, that was a little bit of a twitch there. Sasha right underneath Torpedo, going through that backstretch chicane, but not really making a move. Not yet, at least. As Ollie has a massive run on Young Maneuver going down the main straight. Well, I mean the second back straight. Going around the outside. He's still making it sick. Teammates fighting for 3rd position. Oh, look at that crossover move. Amazing job by Ollie. Almost picture-perfect crossover. A little bit dirty as he runs Young Maneuver off circuit just a bit. But Ollie goes up into 3rd, and he has caught Torpedo for 2nd, as Sasha got by Torpedo in Sector 3 as well. But look at Torpedo closing in! Look at Torpedo closing in! Easy overtake on the inside with a DRS. The Alpine very well trimmed out for exiting Sector 3 and gain on the main straightaway. Sasha Andre, though, very, very good throughout Sector 1, and he's been good going into Sector 3 as well. I think Torpedo has a better car, but I think Sasha is honestly the better driver right now. And it's making for some incredible fighting right now because Ollie is here as well. He's willing to play spoil sport and try to break up the run between Sasha and Torpedo. Sasha to the inside, Torpedo. Neck and neck going into the chicane. Ollie's going to be faster than both of them. He's going to get a massive run on them both coming onto the 2nd straightaway. Look at this run. There's not going to be enough room. Ollie has to figure out somewhere to go. They're going to be 3 wide for a lead. 3 wide for a top spot. Someone has to back out of it. And it's going to be Torpedo. Ollie gets by Torpedo. And now Torpedo has to run way off circuit. And now Young Maneuver comes into the fray. Now he couldn't make it stick, though. So Sasha to the front. Ollie now in 2nd. Torpedo 3rd and Young Maneuver 4th. This fight is amazing. This is incredible. Alright, Young Maneuver not the greatest getting onto the main straight, but Torpedo has another shot at Ollie going down the front straightaway this time. Torpedo Ollie has DRS off of Sasha. He'll use that for defense. Gap's opened up just a little bit now between the top three, but Ollie still has DRS on Sasha, and Torpedo still has DRS on Ollie. Ollie really closing in hard. He's really hustling. Got right underneath the rear wing of the William. He's going to try and open up that perfect exit out of the chicane like he's did almost every prior lap. He's got a great run against the Williams. He might be able to make this overtake without DRS assistance. Around the outside, he runs extremely wide, can't go that far and gain positions, but he definitely has a car faster than Sasha. Sasha in definitely the weakest car of the top four, but he is putting on some amazing defense, has led way more laps than he always is. Right to it, they make contact, and Ollie goes around. And Ollie goes from a move from first to maybe even losing seventh to Zola. No, he's going to hold on to seventh. Lowe has just gotten by Fiend in the process. Fiend was caught unawares by that spin, and now Lowe is going to get by him. So Lowe, who was leading the race earlier, is now by Fiend. Now will begin to put work on Ultimate. Torpedo, Sasha going at it once again now. And Young Maneuver is still there, ready to capitalize as his teammate is finally out of the way. Torpedo on the inside, he's got the nose ahead. They're still side by side on the exit of that corner. Sasha's got it. Now Sasha's got to be on the wider way around. One of them's going to have to back out. Sasha, who backs out through there. Torpedo ahead. Sasha second. Oh, look at that twitch by that Williams. But he's still going to have DRS off to the lead now, Pete. Sasha closing back in against Torpedo. Yun is closing on Sasha. Oh, got by Ultimate. Farther back there. Sasha, that car is twitching like mad. I don't think that Williams is very happy being pushed like this. Alright, the gap opens to about 6/10 between Torpedo and Sasha, but Sasha sends it and closes it almost half of a tenth through that corner alone. The gap opens up just a little bit more as he gets caught in the arrow wake of the leading Alpine. And there are battles going on elsewhere in the circuit, but this is the most impressive one we're seeing thus far. Oh, Young Maneuver is pitting. So Torpedo and Sasha will hold on to the top two for a little bit longer. But as these two have continued battling, it's brought Lowe up to them just a little bit. Lowe is not close enough to make moves yet, but he's going to be within DRS range to get onto the back straightaway. So for Lowe, his decision to pit early is working out in his favor, as it looks like he's going to overtake these drivers who are on the medium tires extremely early here. Sasha has DRS on Torpedo, but Lowe is now closer to Sasha than Sasha is to Torpedo right now. And Lowe has much fresher tires. A little bit farther back, Ultimate and Fiend are continuing to feud for the 4th position, but neither of them are close enough to do anything to the top 3. Lowe now can watch Sasha and Torpedo fight for a bit. I have to wonder if they realize that Lowe behind them is on fresher tires and the two of them fighting just makes Lowe faster and faster in relation. I wonder if these two will decide to pit this lap or not. Ooh, Sasha really having trouble keeping the car together. Sasha is going to have to give the position up to Lowe just so Sasha has a chance to come into the pit lane. He doesn't elect to come into the pits yet. Sasha going another lap on the medium tire compound. So old tires definitely do not work out in your favor at all here. Lowe already by Torpedo as well. So Lowe spins though! And he's around all on his own! Well, actually is now closed in on Sasha. Torpedo has walked away from Sasha. I think Sasha is struggling very badly with the wear on his tires. I think for Sasha, it would be in Sasha's best interest to pit this lap. Side by side for second and third spots. Ultimate finally gets by Sasha. It took him 22 laps to make it happen. But Ultimate is finally by Sasha. And now it's 2 seconds before he catches Torpedo. Sasha looks back to the inside. He'll actually get him. Quicker way around. Does work sometimes. But under braking, does the Haas have what it takes to fight back? Not quite. And there's another Alpine to consider. And that is the Alpine of Fiend. Fast way through right now. The Haas and the Williams blocking the 2 lines for that corner. Sasha staying out another lap. Ultimate has it against Sasha, but Sasha has a better corner exit. It's a drag race. No, Sasha falls in line behind Ultimate. Ultimate has DRS against Sasha, so Sasha's just doing this for defense, not really defensive, but just to try and keep pace with the Haas. For all intents and purposes, if you ask me, I think that the Williams of Sasha I think it's gone away. He has no choice. He's going to have to pit this lap. Ollie just set the fastest lap of the day. No, young maneuver, and Ollie, when they elected to come into pits, I didn't notice, but when they pitted, they threw on the soft tire compounds. Also, Raptor has caught low. Raptor started on a set of soft tire compounds, went from 11th to 6th. He's gotten back to 6th, and now might try and overtake Lowe after Lowe has his spin earlier. In fact, once again, the top 6 are all gradually closing in on each other. Well, 2nd through 6th, Torpedo is running away from Ultimate right now. Sasha continuing to hound Ultimate, though. But for Sasha, you have to consider pitting now before it's too late. Oh, time penalty for track violations. Is this it? Ultimate and Sasha coming into the pits now. So the 2 Alpines are now going to be 1st and 2nd. Raptor now goes up to 4th position. And he still has DRS on the McLaren. Although the tires that Raptor is at are back to the position where they were earlier, where he is now using DRS more to make sure he keeps pace rather than anything else. Ultimate, on a very interesting strategy, he's throwing on the hard tire compounds. So Ultimate is anticipating not stopping again for the rest of this race. Sasha, on the other hand, throwing on the soft tire compounds. So Torpedo, Fiend, and Ryan Hurricane are all on the same set of tires that they started this race on right now. Lowe, closing in on the Alpine of Fiend, who is running 2nd. But I imagine the top 2 are going to be pitting sooner rather than later. And I think for Torpedo and Fiend, a very strong suggestion would be to go ahead and throw on a set of hard tire compounds and then not have to worry about pitting again for the rest of the race. Lowe is going to have to pit again. There's no way around it. There's still, 29 laps left in the event? There's no way that Lowe's going to make a set of mediums go 39 laps. I think Torpedo and Fiend would have the advantage if they elected to come in and throw on hard tire compounds. They're the leader. Torpedo and 2nd, Fiend, are both coming into the pits now. Oh, Ollie, with an instant, he's lost his front wing. And that's a virtual safety car. Huge benefits for both Torpedo and Fiend, because this means that the time they lose in the pit will be artificially reduced. And they both did. So, well, Torpedo threw on mediums, but Fiend threw on hard tire compounds. So this will work wonderfully for them. Sasha will get back by Fiend, but he's not going to be close enough to get right up to Torpedo. So Torpedo has a nice little freebie thrown to him. James John's drive-through for speeding under the safety car. James is currently running the 15th position, he will lose 16th to Careless Jackson. I don't think he's going to lose 17th to Collie Boy. Well, actually, take it back, because Ollie, Ultimate, and Hurricane all pit, so he's going to lose all those positions as well. Ryan Hurricane throwing on mediums, Ultimate throwing on... Ryan throwing on softs, Ultimate throwing on mediums, Ollie on mediums as well. Raptor has actually been, due to his strategy, he has now worked his way up into the second position. He has lost touch with XRL Low, your leader. And with that in mind, Raptor, unless he can push those softs a little harder and get back into DRS range, Raptor is only going to start losing time going forward. But again, I think Raptor is in a decent position. When he eventually decides to pit, go ahead, throw on hard tire compounds, and run those to the end of the race and be in a good position. Zola made a stop. Not a stop, I think he's serving the drive-thru actually. Yeah, he's serving the drive-thru, never mind. And for Fiend, that's perfect, because this will give Fiend a chance to get a little bit of contact. Fiend's not going to be happy with that, but Fiend has fresh, hard, they're slower tires, but they're fresh. If he can get by Zola quickly, he'll be back to moving up through the field, ideally. And yep, there it is. Jamestown serving his drive-thru now. And Karis Jackson has finally gained off the tires he started on. So Whippy's the only driver on the circuit who is still on the same set of tires that he started the race with. 25 laps on mediums. For Whippy, I think frankly he should come in, throw on hards, and just not make another stop for the rest of the day. And Whippy also has level 6 BCM behind. TR Flavor was the Mercedes that was on top in the first 20 laps of the race, but now that has turned in Beastian's favor. And as Collie Boy, still a lap down, but still has pace to run with lead lap cars behind them. Smoothie at some point DNF'd, but I didn't see when it happened. That's gonna hurt BCN. So Collie Boy really playing havoc in this little fight here. And it upsets BCN, keeps BCN from getting a chance to make a move on Whippy. Zola is actually keeping up with Fiend, interestingly enough. I honestly thought Zola would be falling back a little faster than this, but no, he's still within DRS range of Fiend. Also of note is that Raptor has actually closed in on XRL Low a bit. BCN will have DRS on Whippy. So the battle for 8th is still on. Wow, that track violation. It's not going to help him going forward. And when we get closer to the end of the race, we'll take a look at the track violations, because they seem to be playing havoc here. Oh, that's Zola! Another incident for Zola, and now Zola falls all the way down to 9th. And he gets a time penalty for exceeding track limits despite spinning. So Zola's not going to be happy with that whatsoever. He's going to definitely want to get that struck from his record. But Wise Uter now goes up into the 9th position. We've not talked about him. The main Williams we've been talking about for most of the day today has been Sasha Andre. But Wise Uter, the other Williams, has found himself up in the top 10 now. 9th. Whippy is finally coming in the pits. He's taken off the mediums he's been on for most of the day. Zola is pitting as well. Collie Boy has just set the fastest lap of the day, 132.9 on fresh soft tires. actually promote Ryan Hurricane back up to 12th. So most of the field outside of the top 5 have all spread out, but we still see Torpedo leading Sasha Andre. Sasha has soft tire compounds, but they're going to fall away sooner rather than later. Sasha on a very interesting strategy, medium to soft, and he's going to have to make at least one more pit stop today. And there is your word, Raptor, coming into the pits now. I'm very interested to see what Raptor decides to do under his pit stop. He's gone soft, then to another set of soft tires. And now he's throwing on mediums. So I wonder if Raptor thinks he can make those mediums last to the end. Because we've seen somebody go 25 laps on him, or if he's going to run the mediums until they're past ideal range and then throw on another set of softs. He has been flying with the soft tire compounds today. One good thing for Raptor is that he is still in the 5th position on these mediums, and he's, again, in a better tire scenario than the 4 drivers ahead of him. The other driver this really helps is Lowe, because Lowe now absolutely has nobody to worry about around him. But Lowe will have to make one more pit stop today. That is a given. In fact, everyone in the top 4 will have to make one more stop. Raptor, it's really iffy. And then Fiend can go to the end on the tires that he's got. TIR Flavor in 9th, trying to hold Ollie behind him, but Ollie has DRS. Flavor does not. Going down the straight, and it looks like Ollie's got him. A little bit further back, Whippy has DRS that he can use against Hurricane to close in a bit. Sasha Andre has successfully gotten by Torpedo. I was looking at the battle between Ollie and Flavor. Sasha Andre back into 3rd. So Sasha punching well above his weight today. Again, the faster drivers are putting the slowest cars, the slower drivers are putting the faster cars within XRL. The big thing here, though, is that we almost never see Sasha fighting for podium throughout an entire race. When he does end up with these great finishes, they're normally, not always, but normally off the back of him just staying out of trouble. He has fought tooth, claw, nail, whatever you want to call it, for these positions all day today, and it's worked out very well for him as he continues to run in the 3rd position, ahead of Torpedo right now. Now those softs will eventually start falling off, and Torpedo will get back by him. But Sasha, although he lost several positions in the first few laps, has basically made an overtake in response for almost every spot he's lost on track, not including the pit lane. Raptor, 9 full seconds away from Torpedo right now. And again, Torpedo and Raptor are on the same tires, but Torpedoes are a little bit more worn. The more interesting thing is going to be whenever Sasha Andre and Young Maneuver inevitably make their stops. Raptor will overtake them, but will Raptor be able to stay on his medium tires to the end of this race or not? Call it but another time penalty as Ryan Hurricane gets by XRL Whippy. Torpedo coming on to the inside of Sasha Andre. He makes this overtake a bunch. Sometimes it sticks, sometimes it doesn't. But as it is right now! And Sasha spins right in front of Torpedo. Thankfully, he's far enough ahead of Raptor that he's not going to immediately lose time. But the way that Williams is set up, it's been really evil. He's been twitching. That thing's been twitching a lot. And it's finally spun on him, but he did not lose much time. Excuse me, he does not lose as much time as anyone, I believe, thought that he would. He recovered really quickly and is still in 4th. Farther back, Ultimate in 11th, looking at TIR Flavor in 10th. Flavor has done a good job staying out of the way of trouble and worked his way up into 9th earlier in the day. But as it stands right now, Flavor has worse tires and has been generally slower compared to Ultimate. I think this here is only going to go in Ultimate's favor. Ultimate has DRS and ERS he can use going down the straight. There's not much that Flavor can do to defend. And there it is. The Haas gets by the Mercedes for 10th position, and Flavor is back out of the points-paying positions. But Flavor's teammate, Beastian, has worked his way up into the 7th position right now. And it's a relatively clear track ahead and behind him. And the driver right behind him, Wise Uter, is on older tires. So Beastian is looking like it will be a very good day for him. It's been Flavor who's honestly been the more impressive driver in the Mercedes camp throughout the last XRL races. But Beastian is honestly putting together a wonderful run here. Hurricane trying to muster a fight again against Whippy. Both these drivers on soft tire compounds. Has DRS. He's not closing nearly as fast as I thought, but it's good enough for him to get alongside as they go into the braking zone. Can't make it stick, but he's got a good exit. He might have another shot at this. Coming out of that second back straightaway, he's on the outside, can't make it stick. So Whippy holds on to the spot over Hurricane for now. This, at the moment, is the most active battle on the racetrack, but there's a lot of unique pit strategies going on. Ollie's just come by Wise Uter, so I'm wrong. There was that battle, but this is the most interesting one on the track, at least in my opinion. I'm sorry for not keeping you guys up on the Ollie Uter battle. If they're still relatively close when they get to the back straightaway, which it looks like they will be, go ahead and turn my focus now. Does Uter have anything to fight back against Ollie? Does not appear so, although he will use DRS to close in a little bit. He's closing, but it's not enough to really do anything with. I think Ollie has this position for good unless he makes a mistake. Which wouldn't be the first time Ollie was fighting for a lead, but somehow, oh, your race leader, XRL, is making his pit stop. Timing sheet to see where Lowe ends up in relation to the top four drivers who will be ahead of him. Laps to go. Lowe very easily could make this. Ultimate has come to a dead stop there. I'm not sure what happened. I believe it was a spin. So Lowe has medium tires that are now fresh. Raptor has tires that are 5 laps older than Lowe's, but I think those two can make it to the end without stopping again. Torpedo is going to be very touchy if he can. For Young Maneuver and Sasha Andre, there's no way around. They will have to stop one more time in this race. As this battle continues to wage, but here's the other one to take note of. Lowe has pace. Oh, and Ultimate's gone through another spin. And Flavor has gotten by Whippy somehow. Okay. Ultimate has another spin. But the battle to watch is going to be this one, Raptor against Low. And the other question, of course, is does Raptor have the tires and strategy to keep him on this set to the end of the race, or does he elect to come in one more time and throw on a set of softs to charge up through the grid again later on? Sasha Andre pitting at third. Farther back, Ryan Hurricane still working on Whippy. Can't do anything. Whippy's just good enough getting onto the straights that Ryan doesn't seem to have any response. But this battle is very much alive, side by side, and it looks like Low has it over Raptor. Again, as it stands right now, Low has the tires that will last him to the race end. Young Maneuver does not. Rapido has 7 seconds over Low, but his tires are 9 laps older. Flavor back by Whippy again. These two have been fighting for a while, actually, and Ryan Hurricane is in it as well. The thing is, Flavor has worn out mediums. Whippy and Ryan have softs that are starting to reach the end of their lives. So all three of these drivers are not feeling very good when it comes to tire wear right now. He has the speed on Flavor going down the straight. This should be an easy overtake for him. Flavor gives him the room, and Ryan Hurricane capitalizes and sneaks by as well. So Flavor's Mercedes falls out of the top 10. Back Ultimate, who was fighting in the top 5 earlier, but has just had spin and instant. He's in 15th, fighting with Zola for 14th right now. Here's another battle to take note of, Beastian and Ollie. You don't normally think of the Mercedes team in XRL to be fighting for a potential top 6, but that's how it is right now. Beastian is in 6th. Thing is, Beastian has very worn tires. He will have to pit again. Ollie will likely have to pit, but when he pits, he may have the choice to just throw on softs. As it stands right now, we're still 16 laps away from race in. A driver who stops now couldn't throw on softs and still be anything close to competitive. And there we are. Beastian can't really put up a fight against Ollie. He's just way slower through the corners out on corner exits, so Ollie is able to just out-drag him down the straight, even if it's a small straight. Now, Beastian not close enough to have DRS on Ollie either. And this actually means that Beastian might fall into clutches of Wise Uter and Sasha Andre. The two Williams. Sasha trying to recover from a spin after spinning a large chunk of this race in the top 4, fighting for the race lead. But Ultimate's had another incident. There's no front wing on that car. And for Collie Boy, this is great news, because this means that Collie Boy has a chance, however small it is, to overtake Ultimate, because Ultimate's going to be extremely slow. Torpedo goes to the top as Young Maneuver is in the pits now. You see Raptor go by him now. So the top 3 drivers on mediums, and the question is, do they have tires that will let them go to the end? Low, we are almost 100% positive that he'll go to the end on this set of tires. Can Torpedo do the same? Because the gap between first and second is closing. Got Maneuver through on softs. Is he going to try and make the softs go to the end? If he does, it's going to be crazy. But he's got great tires compared to his teammate XRL Ollie ahead. These two were fighting earlier for top 4 positions. But contact sent Ollie around. Young Maneuver continued to spend time up near there. Ollie could not. Ryan Hurricane with an incident. And that'll drop him to 12th. His tires are definitely going away now. James Jan is in pit lane. XRL Ultimate still without a front wing, but he'll finally make it into pit lane. And he will retire from the session into pit road as well. For Collie Boy, he now is going to get promoted into 16th position very shortly here. So now it's the fight for a lead, but we also want to go ahead and look at penalties. Torpedo, 12 seconds worth of penalties. Low only has 3 seconds. So realistically, unless there's a yellow flag, the race is Low's to lose. Low only has 3 seconds of time penalties, and he is pulling on Raptor, who has worse tires. So the race is easily going to be Low's. Fiend is in 4th and has 15 seconds worth of penalties and is 12 seconds off of Raptor right now. So as it stands right now, I think Low's going to be 1st, Raptor is going to be 2nd. Young Maneuver is going to be fine with Torpedo for 3rd if this race continues the way it is. But that's assuming Young Maneuver doesn't have to pit again to get onto a different set of tires. And that's also assuming that no other penalties are awarded to the end of this race. Ryan Hurricane. 4 seconds out from TIR Flavor. Wise Uter closing in on Beastian. Both of these two drivers, Beastian and Uter, have very, very worn tires. Just trying to drag out as long as they can so they can come in and, I imagine, throw on a set of softs to the race end. We're roughly 15 laps out from the end of this race. I'm also just going to go ahead and say this. Raptor has had an amazing pace under softs, but under medium tires, his pace has not been as consistent. He's got himself in a good position, but he is 3rd and not really in a position to fight for a lead. I think Raptor's just going to have to settle with a 2nd. And coming from 11th to 2nd here with no yellow flags, just 2 virtual safety cars. And he's not... Oh! Wise Uter and Beastian come in at the same time, and Uter runs right into the back of Beastian as well. That's not so good. And Young Maneuver just at the fastest lap of the day while overtaking Fiend. So Young Maneuver, although he's 19 seconds out from the lead and about 12 seconds out from Raptor, he's going to make a charge to try and catch the Red Bull in 3rd. There you are, Beastian and Uter indeed threw on a set of soft tire compounds. For Torpedo, it's still 13 laps to the end. I don't see any reason why you'd stay out on tires that are 28 laps old. You'd want to throw on softs, surely, right? Well, he's going to lose the position to Low very soon anyway. Low is just way faster than the Alpine. Davis John now sets the fastest lap, 1:32. And there you are, race leader Torpedo forfeits the lead of the race, as Low will inherit the top spot, and Raptor will inherit 2nd as well. And you have to wonder for Raptor now, if he just was a little bit more fortunate or pushed the intermediates a little bit harder in qualifying and made it into the top 10 in qualies, would he be a little bit closer to Lowe and may have had an actual shot for the win? But for Raptor, it's still fascinating. He spent all of the last season of XRL struggling with a car that was just not very comfortable for him. And while he was able to finish races occasionally, it was very rare for him to actually be able to take home points. And almost half of the races last season, the Mercedes were DNFs. Coming into this season, he got to take the ride in the Red Bull, and it's been a significant improvement. He's been able to finish many more races, earn significantly more points, even though there's not a real championship going on, so it's not like it actually matters. And now he's vying for what may be his first podium on pure merit. Fiend is still within striking distance of Ollie, and Torpedo and Sasha Andre are back to fighting as well. But what was a fight for the top 4 for Sasha has degenerated into a fight to try and stay out from 7th here. Torpedo has softs, he's going to go to the end. Sasha has mediums that already have some wear on them. And Sasha's tires also have what it will take to go to the end. I think this battle's going to go in Torpedo's favor. But for Sasha, he's punched well above his weight for most of today's race. Fighting in the top 4 positions almost all day today, but a little bit of Hispanic is generally having issues keeping up, has saw him gradually shift down the order in the latter half of this event. Torpedo now is going to have a run against Fiend. Fiend, again, is on hard tires that will last him to the end. He has no reason to pit, but Torpedo is going to be way faster than Fiend, and will also have a shot at Ollie maybe, because Ollie is on moderately more mediums that are honestly going to be not feeling that great by this point. Fiend has DRS on Ollie, and he can use that as a defense against Torpedo. Ooh, a little bit onto the curbs for Fiend, and now Torpedo goes back ahead of his Alpine teammate. So Torpedo trying to charge for a potential podium. Not likely to happen, considering that neither Raptor or Young Maneuver have time penalties, and even if those two start getting time penalties, they're both far enough ahead that I don't think Torpedo could really do anything with it. So now Ollie is going to have to try and hold off Torpedo here. Who was that behind there? It was Fiend. Fiend coming off the hard tire compounds, probably going to throw on a set of softs to the end. And there is enough gap between himself and BC that he can probably get away with it without losing positions. Torpedo now by Ollie. He goes up into the 4th position. A little bit further back, Flavor has fallen all the way down to 14th behind Zola. And very uncharacteristic of Flavor, he has actually earned track violation time penalties. He's normally very clean when it comes to track time penalties and gets almost none of them in a race. So it's been a very uncharacteristic race for Flavor. Normally he's not in the top 10 until the very end when attrition sets in. Normally he doesn't make a lot of overtakes on his own, and normally he doesn't have time penalties for track violations. In this case scenario, he actually fought and made overtakes early on pure merit, and was relatively competitive in the first 20 laps, but he's earned time penalties and is not even close to the top 10 right now. So right now the question is, does Ollie come into the pits, and does Raptor come into the pits? If Ollie elects to pit, he is far enough ahead of Fiend that he could probably make it away without too much of an issue. We are within 10 laps to go. But if he keeps waiting, then the only reason to make that pit stop would be to try and go for fastest lap point. Chris Jackson goes a lap down. He is the third driver to go a lap down today. But Smoothie went down a lap and then crashed out at some point that I didn't see, sadly. Now Chris Jackson goes a lap down. But he's far enough ahead of Collie Boy that unless Jackson suddenly has a complete meltdown, it's not going to affect him too much. It looks like he's basically locked into this position, 15th. There is this fight that's back alive between BC and Uter. Uter behind BC. These two were fighting before they came in and threw on soft tires. Now they both have soft tires and are still going at it for the 8th position. And again, I want to say this, BC, outstanding job. Normally, it's his teammates that perform better in the Mercedes, but BC really has done a great job fighting with his teammate. Then after TR Flavor started pulling through the order, BC actually got as high up as 6th at one point, and now he's fighting for 8th and 9th position. Very, very solid run for BC and the Mercedes. Things might finally be turning around for him in XRL. Big lock up there. He's got DRS. Did not make it stick though. Not close enough to get alongside into the braking zone. You can see how much that Williams closes in under braking. He's got a good exit from that chicane. He looks to the inside. And he's got him. Mercedes steps out just a little bit, and now Uter. Oh, that was a little tight. BC gets back by Uter, so both of them have a bit of a step out moment. Nearly every other battle on track has basically dissolved and doesn't really exist at this point. These two are the most interesting ones to watch. There is a threat that could happen soon because Torpedo is closing in on Young Maneuver, and Torpedo has fresher softs than Young Maneuver. Thing is, Torpedo has time penalties and Young Maneuver still does not, and neither does Raptor. Fiend needs to be very careful going to the end of the race. 26 seconds worth of time penalties. 27 is the max you would be allowed in a race. But Fiend is also likely going to try and argue back when this race is over and get 10 seconds stripped away from those penalties due to situations that really shouldn't have been. He had an accident, and then the game penalized him for track cutting in that accident. As Wise Uter gets back by Beastian at the end of the back straightaway. Of note, Uter has less time penalty than Beastian, so it looks like this foul's going to go in Uter's favor unless he gets another penalty before the end of the race. Other thing to consider is that Zola has 22 seconds with the penalties. Flavor only has 6, so Flavor might still be able to overtake Zola by the end of this race. Also, Ryan Hurricane has 6 seconds of time penalties, while James John ahead has 12. So, Ryan Hurricane might be able to overtake James John by race's end. As it stands now, Wise Uter will overtake Fiend in time penalties. I think that's all the main changes that will happen. Zola, now at 25 seconds with the time penalties. It's looking worse and worse for him as this is going on. Yamanuver's already pulled up a gap of about 1.5 seconds on Bestian. So yes, indeed, for all intents and purposes, that battle is over. This one, though, is just getting started. But again, it all goes in Yamanuver's favor. Because Torpedo has a bunch of time penalties and Yamanuver does not. Also of note, Careless Jackson has no time penalties. Collie Boy has 24 seconds. So even if McLaren Collie Boy caught Careless Jackson, it wouldn't actually change anything. Also, Careless Jackson is staying just close enough to XRL low that if he gets lucky and Low gets another 3 seconds worth of time penalties, Careless Jackson might end up getting, in a weird way, put back on the lead lap because of penalty count. Gets right underneath the rear wing of that Honda. Uter now has another time penalty, but he's opened up the gap on Bestian enough that it shouldn't matter. Zola, time penalty for speed in the pit lane. And that puts him at 30 seconds, so he is now over the time penalty limit. So that's it for Zola, unless he elects to come in and pit again, take more of that time penalty off. Zola will either get disqualified or will be banned from the next race. In fact, Zola is actually going to go a lap down and will likely be overtaken by Careless Jackson, although Zola with fresh tires will probably be able to hold off Jackson for a good while. Now, Collie Boy is at 29 seconds worth of time penalties as well. This here continues to be the most interesting battle on the track for the moment, though. Oh! Well, they made contact. But worked out in Yamanuver's favor still. We're in the last 5 laps of the event. Both these drivers are on worn soft tires. Torpedo's slightly less worn than Yamanuver's, but they're both falling off and dying. Here comes the move. And Torpedo on the inside of Yamanuver will finally not be able to make it stick as Yun is faster through turn 1 still. Another move. He's got DRS this time, and there it is. Torpedo is now ahead of Yamanuver, and Yamanuver comes back. And Yamanuver does a perfect job under braking. Torpedo went way too hard on the DRS. ERS was too fast going into the braking zone, had to take evasive maneuvers, and Yamanuver snuck back by him to get the spot back. Outstanding job. seconds with the time penalties, while Beastian still only has 9. So that battle might actually end up going back in Beastian's favor, depending on if Uter doesn't pull more than 9 seconds on Beastian for 8th. Here comes Torpedo with another run. Anya maneuver for 3rd. It's 3 laps to go right now. Can't make it stick. Fiend is coming in the pit lane. He wants a chance to throw on soft tire compounds and try to go for the fastest lap point. But this will also drop Fiend out of the top 10, all the way down to 12th actually. And he'll have to contend with both Ryan Hurricane and Jabez John ahead of him. It looks like Torpedo is now fallen off from Young Maneuver. He may have burned the tires off enough. They can't actually do anything. Beastian, another 3 seconds worth of time penalties. Now everyone from 4th to 10th all have 12 seconds of time penalties. And everyone from 4th to 12th have at least 9 seconds. And everyone from 4th to 13th, have 6 seconds. Zola is coming into the pits. I think he's just trying to serve some of those penalties so they don't count against him later on. Collie Boy is now ahead of Zola on the racetrack by a significant margin. So Collie Boy will actually finish ahead of Zola because Zola is just trying to avoid getting penalties. And I imagine he'll do the same thing again next lap to take another 5 seconds off again. I go for fastest lap, but he's going to have to contend with Ryan Hurricane and Davis John ahead, who are both on worn soft tire compounds. He's going to get a hell of a draft going down the straight. Oh, and Ryan Hurricane goes around! And for Fiend, that's perfect. And Ollie has just gone by Torpedo. So Torpedo's made a mistake somewhere, has fallen down the order, and now Ollie has gone back by. So AlphaTauris are now 3rd and 4th on the racetrack. Fiend going for fastest lap. Ryan Hurricane spun out in front of him, and now Fiend was able to use DRS to get by James John. So Fiend is back in the top 10 in points-paying positions. Collie Boy and Zola both coming into pit lane now. Try and take extra time penalties off. Apparently there are only hard tires left in that McLaren pit. Oh, they didn't take another time penalty off for Zola. That's a strange decision, but okay. Will Fiend get fastest lap point? If this lap he doesn't get it, he might get it the next lap because he'll have no one behind, no one around him. He did not get it this lap, but he may have a chance this time because he won't have to back out at all. He won't have DRS, sadly, but he will not have to back out at all. Sasha Andre has just snuck by Torpedo farther up the grid, as Torpedo had to back way out, going through the backstretch game. So all things considered, Sasha Andre is actually going to end up still being in the top 5 at the end of this race. Is Torpedo out of fuel? Torpedo is out of fuel! But meanwhile, XRL crosses the finish line with a victory. Raptor, just as he said, will take home a podium. Young Maneuver is going to come home in the 3rd position, is going to be XRL Ollie, who is also out of fuel. Ollie is also out of fuel. Sasha Andre will come home 5th. XRL Torpedo will be 6th. Chris Texas finished 14th officially. BC has just gotten by Uter as Uter has had another incident. Here comes Torpedo. He is out of fuel as well. But he takes 6th. BCN will come home in 7th. Really holding over Uter. Yes, Whippy actually ends up overtaking Uter due to having fewer time penalties. Fiend will take 10th. No, Jameis Dunn does because Jameis had fewer time penalties. And Ryan Hurricane will take 12th. Terror Flavor will finish the day off in 13th. But for your top 3, Low, Raptor, and Young Maneuver, an outstanding job by all of them. I could agree with that. I absolutely can agree with that. Alright, and now coming into the party now is your race winner, XRL Low. Low, go ahead, include your audio. An outstanding victory, but you had a lot of fighting in the first half of the race to get there. Go ahead and walk us through the race from your perspective, please.
Oh man, what an insane race. I can't even begin. Like, from the qualifying to the race itself, it's just been insane. Just to come back from the spin, I had a little spin in Sector 1 halfway through the race, and that really pushed me back a little bit, and I had to make up. But the guys were on old tires in front of me, so it wasn't too bad. The strategy worked out perfect, being soft, medium, medium. I made sure that that was going to happen.
All right, well, you were outstanding. Were you afraid at any point that if there was a yellow in the last 20 laps of the race, you'd have to come in and get onto a different set of tires?
Oh yeah, definitely. I was praying that there was no safety car coming. Luckily with France, they have a lot of virtual safety cars, especially when there's big incidents. So sometimes you get lucky with that, but yeah, I guess it played out in my favor this time, and really close race between Raptor. He was closing in. If I got another time penalty, it would have been right there on taking the win. So congrats to him on good pace, and yeah, what a crazy race. That's all I can say. Whew, I'm soaked.
Well, good job on that victory. It was definitely well earned. And go ahead and take a shower in victory after you finish your shower.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Great.
I'm actually
Great
going right
win,
to a
Will.
pool party.
Great win.
Thank you very much,
Great
Raptor.
win.
Thank you. I'm going right to a pool party after this. So
Right, well,
see you guys later.
Have a good time. Yep. Well, I know one pool I'm not going to get into. I'm going to be covered in McLaren sweat. But anyways, now I want to go ahead and talk to our second place finisher, Raptor. Raptor, I said this in the race. I want to go ahead and reiterate it now and say it directly to your face. Last season in XRL was a nightmare for you. You DNF'd roughly half of all the races you started and struggled to just finish in the points whatsoever. Now coming into, you seem to be one of the few drivers who the change from the last game to this game within XRL has actually been an improvement for you. Points pain well, what would be points pain finish if we were in anything resembling a championship are coming much more frequently for you, and now you're finally able to get a podium finish on merit. And Maneuver, please stay around. I do want to talk to you after I finish with Raptor. But Raptor, you said to me before the race that you had confidence confidence in your strategy and confidence in your car setup to get you into a podium finish. You made it happen, but go ahead and walk us through it from your own perspective.
It was just the same thing I said last week. It's a lot of learning how to make a lot smarter decisions, especially when it comes to strategy, how I'm approaching the turns, corner entries, apexes, corner exits, knowing when to fight, knowing when not to. Those are the things that get you podiums. Those are the things that get you race wins. It was third place last week, second place this week. The only way to go from here is up. And it took everything coming together again this week to be able to make that happen. But first and foremost, my hat's off to Lowe for setting the mark for me to shoot for in the latter half of the race. I mean, I was solely focused on closing the gap to him, on top of everything else I was trying to do at that point in time. I also in about the last 10 laps, I came under a lot of threat from Young Maneuver. I was seesawing a gap with him for third for the last 10 laps of the race. And again, it's just him pushing me chasing Lowe is what was able to get me there. So honestly, hats off to both Lowe and Young for really helping me get into the zone and get where I needed to be.
I also want to say good job to both you, Raptor, and you, Young Maneuver. You two were the only two drivers who finished this race today on the lead lap without time penalties. So good job on that.
Thank you.
Alright, and now I also want to go ahead and turn my focus real quickly to Young Maneuver. Young, you didn't qualify right there near the front, but you qualified close to it, and you were fighting for the lead for a large portion of the race, and ended up coming home third. Go ahead and walk us through the race from your perspective, please. Oh yeah. Alright, I do have to ask, you were fighting to hold on to third position for almost the entire last 10 laps of the race. You did realize that the other person who you were fighting with had a bunch of time penalties against you, right? I'll say this, you definitely made a lot of great runs today, but the main thing I wanted to invite you in and just kind of gush over, I think it was about with like 4 or 5 laps to go, you get onto the first of the 2 back straightaways, and the Alpine right behind you gets a great run on DRS, overtakes you before you get into the braking zone, and you were calm, cool, and collected. The Alpine missed the braking zone and had to really struggle to keep on the track, and you just sailed by so clean and so smooth, and it was wonderful. It was like the textbook defensive move. It was perfect. I'm so glad I got to catch that on camera. absolutely. Anyways, go ahead and have yourself a good rest of the day. Congratulations once more. Alright. And that will pretty much wrap up our broadcast here from France. Tomorrow, at 5 p.m. UK time on the main channel, it will be X1. And then at the same time on the alternate channel, I'll be covering X3. And at 8 p.m. UK time tomorrow, it will be the X2 race. And then we do a whole same song and dance all over again next week, with Dev at 5 p.m. UK time on Saturday, and XRL again at 8 p.m. UK time on Saturday. And until then, I've been SaneLeader13. This has been a very, very interesting race from France. A circuit that a lot of people think is very, very poor and dull and boring, but ended up being fascinating today. I just want to say thank you everyone for going ahead and sharing this experience with us. Time to wrap up the broadcast, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow. If this ad would just go through real quickly so I can get the ending music going, please.